Horror Lies.
Hey guys, Rob from Georgia here with you, aka VHS82 Apostrophe. I'm your regular Wednesday evening host here at Body Bags. It is week 581. Didn't have to look this time. Second weekend of December, and we just decided to make this a random week instead of doing our normal year or label. It's December, it's Christmas time, and well, so it is what it is. So I'm on a bit of a Godzilla kick, and so second weekend, haven't already looked at Godzilla King of the Monsters, the Americanized version that came out in 56 from the 54 original Godzilla from Michihara Honda. He steps aside for the sequel that comes a year later in 55, Godzilla Raids Again. 1955, Toho Productions though, and Godzilla sees its first sequel. Its first sequel, right? I was gonna try to say something fancy, but so anyway, surprised I still have a voice, considering that my Georgia Bulldogs took the SEC championship last night, and so now we just gotta wait a couple hours and today and see. I'm doing this Sunday morning and see what the bracket holds. Georgia should be ranked number 2 in the country, but we'll see. Anyway, so surprised I still have a voice after that, and my Bills are on TV today, so that's always a plus. Godzilla Raids Again. Let me just go ahead and this is a nice release on DVD from Toho that I picked up on the cheap. I think this was probably a CD warehouse pick up for, I would imagine. I was hoping the sticker was still in there. Probably, I'm guessing $2.99 or something like that. But both the original Japanese cut and the American cut that comes out, if I saw the screen right earlier, it was 59, I think. So a few years, just a couple years after they get the original, or I'm sorry, the English variant of it, which I have not watched. I've only watched the Japanese, so I don't hear good things about the Americanized cut. But anyways, our director is Motoyoshi Oda, if I'm saying it right. And a little bit of the backside here, and then I think 3 interesting pieces of possible trivia that are interesting. So Godzilla is back, and this time he's not alone. While scouting the seas for schools of fish, young pilots Setsuko and Kobayashi, if that's encounter Godzilla and the spiny monster and Garrus in a heated battle on a small Japanese island. 2 beasts tumble into the ocean and soon resurface in Osaka, leaving waste to the city in a fight to the death. As the threat of destruction mounts, the 2 heroes muster their courage for the final showdown with Godzilla. Actually, this is a classic media release, but Toho presents Godzilla Raids Again, 55, the first of many Godzilla sequels, as we all know, right? And this, both the Japanese and the English. And at the very end, though, they tell us, featuring the voice of Star Trek's George Takai, Sulu, his voice. He apparently did a lot of things like this, so that's our first interesting trivia. So, and this has a few extras, not a lot of stuff, but the fact that it has both cuts of the film is nice. And again, on the cheap. So for whatever reason, Honda decided to step aside for, what everyone just assumed was going to be, I guess, a sequel as a result of how well the first did. And unfortunately, I guess in a way, this guy, Oda, it really doesn't do anything else in Godzilla. This is his one shot. And so, as the back, I watched this again early this morning after I saw my wife off to work. Me and my littlest Max sat down on the couch, me with my coffee and him with his hot chocolate, and give it one last good view from start to finish. And so that's always where I do my best, is early morning viewings. For some reason, I just happen to be at my best. And so really what you have here is a trio of characters. Tsukuya, I know, I'm just butchering his name, but you got him, Kobayashi. They work for a fishing industry where they're pilots and they go out in front of the ships and scout for schools of fish and lead them to it with the latitude, longitude coordinates. And and then you've got a girl and you got this love triangle really that carries through much of the film. Although first viewing or two, it kind of, some of it just gets, I don't know, it's kind of blurred a little bit. You're not sure exactly what's going on, but apparently Setsuko, I'm just not good on it this morning. I looked up the pronunciation on YouTube. I thought I had it in my head, and I just lost it. But him and Hidami, and I'm probably butchering that one too, the girl. You got the guy and the girl who are engaged to be married, I'm assuming, if I understand it right. And Kobayashi, who's sort of like that third wheel, but his one, and he's got a nickname through the movie, the groom, because he's always searching for the perfect wife. Well, his perfect wife is Hidami. And so he's sort of this third wheel, but he won't tell her how he feels because he doesn't want to mess up the engagement, I guess. So he's sort of got this triangle thing going throughout. So early in the beginning of the film, they're out scouting for fish. Kobayashi ends up running out of fuel, and he has to do a crash landing near an island. And as his buddy comes to save him or pick him up, they realize while they're on the beach of the island that Godzilla miraculously survived. Or is he a new Godzilla? I think we're leading into another member of the species of those ancient dinosaurs, whatever that might have been, impacted by the nuclear testing in the South Pacific. And Garrus, the first time we see him take on, and many times later, right, take on an enemy, another dinosaur-like creature. Garrus is spiked back and very, very aggressive creature. And so they're basically, just having a grudge match on the island. And so, of course, it doesn't take long for the world to be alerted, at least the Japanese world to be alerted, that we have a Godzilla problem again. And eventually, Godzilla and Garrus do start to make their way towards land, right? And so what they do to precaution or try to, from the first film, there's this idea that Godzilla is very sensitive to light and whatnot, so they decide to use flares to keep him away. Unfortunately, seemingly feels like in the middle of the movie, you've got these criminals who have been apprehended. I think they're robbing banks or something, I don't know, but they're being transported. Well, they have a plan to escape, and in so doing, they inadvertently foul up the plans of those trying to keep Godzilla away, because in their escape, they end up ramming their stolen truck, fuel truck, I think, into a factory, causing a massive explosion, and that gets Godzilla to look away from the flares and go, this looks interesting. And so, boom, you've got the inland thing, and then you've got the war, and then you've got the final match between... most of this happens around the city of Osaka, I think. And you've got the famous Osaka Castle, which I have to say, the miniatures in this movie really are. The work that went into this movie is pretty awesome, considering they did it in less than a year. And the money was probably less than the predecessor, I would imagine. But the work on especially Osaka Castle, that miniature is unreal. And there's a scene where you've got an explosion, and as a result of water flooding a subway. That is pretty impressive as well. And so the miniature work to scale and everything looks really, really good. The battle between Godzilla and Garrus is pretty good, although some might think it ends somewhat anticlimactically. It's sort of in the middle of the movie, and it's sort of like, well, 1 minute they're fighting, next minute Godzilla's killed him, and now he's moved on, and now, they think, oh wow, he's gone, don't have to worry about it. Our love triangle continues, and then I think a fishing trawler disappears, and we realize we still have a problem. And so then it's go out scout for Godzilla. They find him back around in this island again that we saw in the beginning of the movie, and it's our lead character, our hero, whose name in Japanese means small mountain, which is interesting considering the final climactic moments of the movie. He comes up with the brilliant plan. May not kill Godzilla, but at least it's going to put him in a grave for the time being. And so his great plan is, and he gets this as a result of Kobayashi. I think he realizes, and it's interesting because now that I think about it, Kobayashi, he makes a decision. He's going to fly his plane into Godzilla. I think he just, I don't know, he wants to do one last heroic event or heroic thing, I guess. He's not going to get his girl. And so maybe he just can end his life as a hero, a legendary hero. Unfortunately, Godzilla lights him up and he flies into the mountain. But that signals the idea in our hero as to what needs to be done. And that is this interesting approach with the military jets where they'll sort of come up, dip down, and as they're coming up, they unload their payload into the side of the mountain, creating an avalanche that will come down on top of Godzilla, thus burying him. But it is an almost impossible mission because of the maneuvering of the planes and how close to Godzilla, and then to get out of there and without hitting the peak and not being destroyed by Godzilla. It calls to mind, and I sort of skipped over what I was going to say, but it does call to mind Top Gun Maverick. It really does feel like Maverick was inspired by this, as well as by the Dam Busters, but from like, what is that, 54 or something like that. But this really does inspire that, I think, in an interesting way. So if you see Maverick, never seen Godzilla Raids Again, and you want to see some perhaps inspiration, look no further. But Kobayashi, when he rams his plane, well, his plane goes into the side of the mountain and he dies. That got me to thinking, Kobayashi Maru, Star Trek, the solution to the problem, a no-win solution. Interesting. I just thought about that right now on the fly. That's interesting. So you got the Maverick, the Top Gun Maverick. You've got the George Takei, his voice, Kobayashi Maru, perhaps. Interesting sort of little trivia pieces. I'm trying to see if there's anything else. I don't think so. Although Honda, you wonder what was Honda doing if he left, if he didn't do the sequel to Godzilla. Well, in 56, he does Rodan, of course, and we know Godzilla is about to, I guess pun intended, mushroom into something beautiful. And on that note, I probably should end it right there because that was beautiful. It's going to mushroom into something beautiful. Next week, I cannot wait to talk about this movie. Godzilla -1. I think it's one of 3, at least bare minimum, best Godzilla movies ever. Arguably as good as the first. But anyways, my Bulldogs nearly sitting on top of the world. My Bills play today, rooting for them. It's December, Christmas is coming. Enjoy the time of year, enjoy your family, just enjoy anything and everything you possibly can enjoy, and throw some Godzilla movies in. And by the way, I almost forgot, this one, Godzilla Raids Again, snow. There's snow in it, so throw it on your December list. With that, as always, go Bills.
This is not a dream. Not a dream.
We might be useful.